Get me Roger Stone. Hello, Mr. Stone.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's public enemy number one.
Well, Roger, we didn't know if you were going to talk to us or if you were being worried about the gag order that they're trying to put on you.
Well, we don't know that yet. The government has not moved for a gag order. They may do so. I expect them to do so sooner or later, but right now we are free to speak. My First Amendment rights are still intact, at least at this moment.
So, Roger, what happened? We're having a nice conversation about a week ago. We're talking about, Jim's making some jokes about male ejaculate. We're talking about writing the best and worst dress list from jail, all this fun stuff. And then not 24 hours after this conversation, Chad Ochocinco is on Twitter. And he's sitting there talking about his neighbor Roger getting bum rushed by the FBI. Come to find out, they've swatted your whole house. What happened?
29 FBI agents with 17 vehicles, including 2 armored vehicles, fully outfitted in SWAT gear, including night vision goggles and assault rifles, as well as sidearms, surrounded my house. 2 amphibious units pulled up to my house on the canal behind it, helicopter overhead. They pounded on the door at 5:50 a.m. I answered the door wearing my Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong t-shirt, which you can buy at 1776.shop. Money goes to my legal defense fund, and a pair of cut-off sweatshorts.
Did you know that this was coming? Did you wear that t-shirt on purpose, knowing
just in
who it
case?
was?
No, I was actually sleeping in it.
Uh-huh.
That's the irony. CNN was told about my arrest prior to my lawyers being told of my arrest.
Well, they said it was just a reporter's intuition, which is why he was there and it happened. Do you believe that?
But if I am dangerous, why would they be allowed to be 25 feet from the front door? The rest of the street was sealed and cleared of everybody. I think I'm glad to see Senator Lindsey Graham looking into that, because I think that will be disproved that they were just operating on a hunch. I don't own a firearm. I don't have a valid passport. I'm not a flight risk. I'm charged with nonviolent process crimes. I have no previous criminal record. I'm in my mid-60s, all in pretty damn good shape. And they know that I'm represented. They could have contacted my lawyer, and I would have turned myself in. So this was, it's a purposeful show of force. They rousted my wife. They marched her out in the street in a nightgown and bare feet. She's hearing impaired. I was concerned that they would think she wasn't complying with an instruction and shoot her. I mean, my dogs are terrified. This whole thing was unnecessary.
Were you scared, Roger?
I was relatively calm. It was later that it kind of hit me. But the idea is to poison the jury pool. The idea is to make me look guilty before I've gone to trial. They treat me, like a drug kingpin. They used more men to arrest me than they used to send in and kill bin Laden.
Did you, now that you've been arrested, you weren't sure if you're going to be, I know on some level you suspected it, but has that changed your thinking now that you've actually physically been arrested?
Hasn't changed my thinking whatsoever. I pleaded not guilty in court on Tuesday, and I will fight the charges. I expect to be acquitted and vindicated. I think the government's conduct to date has been egregious. I'll leave it at that.
And now, what has the president said to you?
Hasn't said a thing. I haven't spoken to the president. He has made some public comments. I think he is also shocked at the force that was unnecessarily used.
Do you think if you had a do not disturb sign on your door, they would have turned around?
I think it is highly unlikely. They had one of those big battering ram things. They were prepared to break the door down if necessary.
What if beware of dog sign?
Yorkie, be a dangerous Yorkie.
I have a fucking Yorkie. They're useless.
Do you? What about these text messages, Roger? I was watching your interview, and one of these things we've talked to you all these times, and you keep telling us there's no this, there's no that, there's no this. But I saw him. There's a text from this guy, Randy Credico, and he's talking to you about information that's going to come out about Hillary Clinton. Now, the idea here is that if he's texting you this, whether it's true or not at the time, you did have information that you weren't supposed to have. There are
no.
Okay.
I gave that text message to to the special counsel's office, and I testified about it in my testimony in September. I've always said that he was my source. He lied about it before the grand jury. I produced text messages that definitively proved it. It is entirely consistent with my testimony.
I see. But there are text messages that you're now saying you forgot about.
Yes, and they're exculpatory. They prove that everything I told the committee was accurate.
Uh-huh. Do you regret do you kind of kick yourself for being like, I went interview after interview after?
I have one, no, because I have 1 million emails. I released those text messages 2 months ago, and I turned them over to the special counsel's office. They prove that I told the truth to the committee. It is not illegal to get information. I never knew and was never told the source or the content of any of the material published by WikiLeaks, either that which was allegedly hacked or that which was allegedly stolen. And I'm not charged with that. I'm not charged with conspiracy. I'm not charged with collaborating with WikiLeaks and receiving stolen material. I'm not charged with any crime in connection with the 26th election. These are all after-the-fact process crimes. It's essentially a frame-up because I support Donald Trump for president.
What exactly were you charged with?
I'm charged with false statements before Congress, witness tampering, and impeding an official investigation.
So even if you're innocent, it's going to cost you what, $500,000 for lawyers today?
Far more. It's going to cost about $2 million. That's why I ask people to go to StoneDefenseFund.com.
Were you bummed out that the Nixon family and the Nixon estate distanced themselves from you? You're such a fan. You got Nixon tattooed on your back. You were putting the Nixon peace signs up while all your supporters were cheering for you, I think.
The Nixon Foundation put distance between me and the president, people who never met Richard Nixon. Ask Ed Cox, his son-in-law. Ask Howell Raines, the former editor of the New York Times, who I introduced the former president to. Ask Monica Crowley, who was his aide in his post-presidential years, about my relationship with Richard Nixon. Do a Google search under Roger Stone, Richard Nixon, Saddle River to see what you see.
Is it bad for your personal morale when you're going, okay, all these people are here. I need to talk to the people about what happened. You're just out on bail. You put the you got the $250,000 bail bond. You got out of there, and you go and you do this.
Be clear, I didn't have to put up anything. The proof that I'm not a flight risk is that I had $250,000 surety bond.
I see.
That means I put up no money and I signed on my signature, which the government agreed to. That's what happens when you are not a flight risk.
But when you go out there and you do this press conference and you're going, this is ridiculous, blah, 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 and everybody is chanting boo and lock him up, are you going, come on, guys, I don't want to have to deal with this right now?
There were 40 cameras and microphones outside the Fort Lauderdale courthouse. I wanted to make a statement to say that I was not guilty and would plead not guilty. I couldn't make a statement because the torrent of spit and pushing and shoving and yelling. I felt like Vice President Richard Nixon in Caracas in 1958. It was crazy.
What did you think of Jake Tapper's comment that you might like prison? Everybody knows what he was kind of implying.
Beneath the belt. I think that was a low blow, and he's the guy that looks light in the loafers to me.
So your response to him is that you're not gay, he is.
he should apologize to the LGBT community.
Well, if he if he apologizes to the LGBT community, then shouldn't you also apologize to them for just calling him light in the loafers? Isn't it kind of the same thing?
He started it.
I see. Okay,
that is true. You're just kind of
defense.
commenting and denying and saying that he is indeed looking more homosexual.
I have said many times that I am trisexual. I've tried it all.
Well, actually, it's funny that you bring up.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What didn't you like that you've tried?
Let's not get into that, shall we? This is not about my personal life. I'm not running for office.
It's interesting that the Daily Mail decided to drudge up the old reports from the National Enquirer about you and your swinging sex life. They wrote a whole article about that article. All the information had already been out for a long time.
Nothing new.
But it was entertaining to read again. If you were to look for people now, do you still have a policy of no fats?
Everybody should.
Consenting activities among adults are their own business. Next question.
And so no fats then.
Next question.
Okay, 8 inches. Is that true?
Next 9. Next.
Even he had to answer that one. That's good for you.
Good for you,
Guys,
Roger.
I don't want to say anything. When I walk down the beach, people think I'm a tripod. Okay?
That's understandable.
Are you so now that this is real, right? Now that there actually is a case. Not to say that like you're guilty or anything, but we're now several degrees more into this than we were the last time we spoke. Is there part of you that is finally going, holy shit, regardless of what I'm saying, regardless of what the truth is, regardless of how I'm feeling, there is this possibility now that this ends up bad. There is this version of the way this goes where I end up in jail.
Yeah, I could theoretically be in prison for 45 years under these charges. That's why I will fight them, and I need people to help me fight them by going to stonedefensefund.com. I have not broken any laws. This is a fabricated charge for a political vendetta. I've supported Donald Trump for president. I opposed Hillary Clinton. That's why I am being charged. Where's the Russian collusion? Where's the WikiLeaks collaboration? Where's the conspiracy? Doesn't exist.
Do you think that they're just doing this to try to get you to talk about Trump, and they're trying to frighten you into turning on the president?
That very well may be. I think I've made it pretty clear that I will not bear false witness against the president. When I said on ABC I would answer all questions honestly, they said Stone will cooperate with the special counsel. Well, I will answer all questions honestly. That's what I will do.
And you said you never talked about a pardon with him, but did he ever hint at it?
No, absolutely not.
So when you when the FBI comes in, what was your mentality? Were you thinking like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening," or was it one of those sort of movie scenes where you're going, "Yeah, I kind of knew that this was going to go down at some point. I guess today's the day."
Yeah, is that why you slept in a Roger Stone did nothing wrong shirt?
Yeah, but I really did expect them to do what normally is done in these cases, which is to contact my lawyer, and I would have been allowed to turn myself in, and I would have worn a suit and tie and looked a hell of a lot better in my mugshot. But my initial concern, frankly, was that they would not realize my wife is deaf, think she wasn't complying with an order, and shoot her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd be scared too. Was there any part of you that goes, like, when you're talking about clothes, when you saw after the press conference, you put your arms up and you did the Richard Nixon peace signs, were you thinking to yourself, like, I got to start getting longer shirts?
Well, the FBI agents were actually quite courteous once I was in custody. They allowed me to change my clothes, put on long pants and a pair of shoes and a better shirt. But, that photo, fortunately, can be cropped.
Now, were you surprised?
Right.
Were you
That's actually
surprised
good.
people were booing you and that you didn't have more fans outside? I was surprised to hear them booing you, to be honest.
I live in one of the most liberal Democratic counties in the state of Florida, probably the most liberal Democratic county, and I had many supporters out there, as I did have outside the courthouse in D.C. On the other hand, I'm not interested in being Jack Rubied on the street. So.
Right.
Now, what is your relationship with Ocho Cinco? Do you guys talk a lot?
I know he's a neighbor. I don't really know him. I'm told he was a great athlete.
He was, but he was surprised because on Twitter, he just referred to you as his neighbor, Roger.
Yeah.
Like he
didn't know who you
seemed
were.
to have no idea any of this was going on. He really didn't have a...
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not that into sports. He's probably not that into politics. But anybody who knows me knows that I have argued against the 1994 crime bill and the unfair and racist disparity in sentencing between poor people and black people and rich white people, and that I've talked about this for 15 years. I've spoken out for a posthumous pardon for Marcus Garvey. I have argued in favor of affirmative action, which is a Nixon policy that is very unpopular with many conservatives, but which I strongly support.
So why Marcus Garvey? What was he? What was he convicted of that you think he should?
Because the FBI railroaded him. That's why they completely and totally railroaded him. He scared the white power establishment because he was an early and very effective civil rights leader.
Are you worried about being railroaded at all? I mean, it's harder for it to happen now, but are you worried about that?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I mean, you hear horror stories all
Sure.
the time. Like that's what I mean. Like that's why I asked the question before, because once you get arrested and there's charges and everything, you can be innocent. You can have the best defense ever. It's just it's up in the air. What do you know what the plan is? Have you talked to your lawyer about what the plan is if a gag order comes down? What you'll do with that?
No, and I don't want to address it now. I haven't discussed it with my lawyers. Obviously, we would most likely appeal it. Remember, I make my living writing and talking. That's what I do for a living. If I cannot write and talk about politics, then I can't put food on my family's table. Things are bad enough, as you know. As I told you last week, I've essentially broke. I've lost my life and health insurance. Had to sell my car. My income has dwindled because of the constant leaking from the special counsel's office. So it would be unfair. The judge could, of course, order that I can't speak about this case, but could opine on general politics. I don't know. It's a hypothetical question. We'll address it, if and when it happens.
Who do you think is leaking everything out of the White House? People are saying it's Kellyanne Conway.
I have no idea. You asked me that last week. I really don't know.
Yeah, I thought maybe you'd heard something since then.
I don't think they're talking to him right now.
No?
No, I don't think so.
Well, why not? They probably want to keep Roger on their good side. Do you think they're concerned that what happened with Michael Cohen will happen with you? That they kind of cut him off and all of a sudden he turns around and starts saying things they don't want him to say?
I've been made very clear that I will not make up stories about the president. I will not bear false witness about the president. I don't know of any inappropriate activity by the president. I'm not going to perjure myself and make stuff up. This is what I think Michael Cohen has done.
So you don't think that there are no, in your head, there are no true stories that you might end up telling that would be less than pleasant for the president?
That is correct.
Okay.
What do you think it is about Trump that people hate so much? Because they hate him more than they hated Bush. They hate him more than they hated Obama. What do you think it is about him that just gets this visceral reaction from people?
Twitter.
Because he challenges the two-party duopoly and the elites of both parties. He challenges the status quo. He has his own inimitable but eccentric style. But we have a boom economy. We have 4.8 million new jobs. We have 500,000 new manufacturing jobs. We're redoing these lousy trade deals that have screwed us. We are not dishing out billions of dollars to the Iranians so they can turn around and screw us. He's getting things done in his own way.
Yeah, but these are all economical. What about the racial divide in this country, the anti-Semitism?
He is the one who signed a prison reform bill that fixes the fact that black people and poor people are disproportionately sentenced. And black unemployment is at the lowest point. When those people were shot in the synagogue in Pittsburgh, he didn't denounce white supremacy. He didn't denounce it in Charlottesville. Okay, so don't act like he's not adding to. Even if it's subliminal or through the back door, he's adding hatred towards people. You don't see that? I disagree with that. All right, gentlemen, this has been absurd, but I got to move along.
All right, Roger.
Okay, well, thank you very much,
Roger. Always good talking to you.
And we appreciate you calling in. We appreciate you doing that. And your website is stonecoldtruth.com. And where can people find the Roger Stone Defense Fund?
StoneDefenseFund.com. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.